All right, we are live. Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve. I am Steve Harper. With me, as always, is my amazing co-host and topic connoisseur today, Dr. Asha Prasad. We are actually doing this episode live as I'm calling it a pop-up episode, Asha. We're not actually going to put this out for the podcast. We're actually using people out there on social networks to see if our audio problems are resolved and fixed. We're doing an audio test, which just so happens to be us taking advantage of your of your listenership or viewership, I guess, because we're not actually putting it out on the podcast. But if anybody sees us live and just happens to pop by, let us know if you're hearing us, because that's what we're really mostly excited about today. But I mean, you came up with a good topic. Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Yep. So we're back to having the audio problem. So Robert just said all that great stuff you just said, we can't hear. So this is part of why we're doing this, because we have no idea what the hell is going on with regards to our. Let's try this. Okay, Robert, let us know if you can end up hearing Asha this time. This is why we're doing this pop-up episode. We had recorded previously. We were having no problems. There were no issues. And then all of a sudden, bam. How about now, Sonny? Why don't you talk, Asha? See if they can hear you. Yeah. He says nope. What what is going on? Okay, well, so this is actually going to be the Steve and Asha the Mime show, apparently. Hang on a second, people. Hang on a sec. So, Asha, so that I get sound levels, and in case I fix this while we're live on the air, why don't you go ahead and sing that one song that you were thinking about singing? That is, yeah. Okay, let's see if that worked, guys. So for those of you that are joining us, this is actually a pop-up episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. It's like we're not really here, but we're here because we're trying to fix our audio problems, and we can record all day long. Audio sounds perfect, but if we go live, Asha, she just looks like a talking head, like Max Headroom with nothing coming out of your mouth. So. Okay, so Debbie, I always get thrown when she says Debbie Sunny, because I only know her as Sunny. Sunny and Robert, let us know if you can hear, because I hear her perfectly and she sounds amazing. Hello. Nope, she says it is still not working. Okay, well, we're going to continue to work through this. So, Asha, as we work through this, I believe that what we should be doing, honestly, is you should be doing some sort of interpretive interview skills. Like, I don't know, like, hand puppets. I don't know, put up a sign. So Mark says mine is good and yours is just silence. So I apologize, folks, and I appreciate you guys joining for us to test this out. But have you changed anything on your end, Asha? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mark says go to the NXS flashcards if you have them. So let's try that. Hey, can you guys, you talk? Oh, yeah, I just turned off my mic. I just was going to reset it just to see if it would work. What about now? How about this? Is this some audio equipment you got from TU? Robert just said, Robert's insulting the Longhorns. I mean, the Longhorns have won this weekend. I'm just pointing that out. I guess, actually, to be fair, we both lost Arkansas. So what are you going to do, right? So, okay, sing a verse. Sing a verse of something, Asha. Come on, just something. And you guys are still not hearing her, just making sure. I am frantically working over here to try and make. Still nothing. Dang it. Okay, thanks, Robert. Correct. Let's try this now. How about this? Mark, now, sing your favorite Britney Spears song. I don't have I don't have a favorite. Sabotager. Christina Brewer says sabotager. And there, see, you thought we were friends, right? She will get you. Still nothing. God bless America. Okay, still working, still working. So we are just going through the process here.
I
Nothing's changed.
wonder, is there anything that I should be checking on my settings? Because you're a tech guy.
Yeah,
Tell me what I need to be doing.
yeah. I have a team that takes care of that tech stuff. I end up whatever
I'll
problem
call
you
your
call
tech
in
support.
for, I will make it worse. I promise you. Plus, you're on a PC. Nobody in their right mind is still on a PC. Hey, Robert says they can hear
What?
you.
Oh, great.
Woohoo!
Oh, my goodness. Awesome, Steve. What did you press? Do not press that again. Stay away
I
from that.
just put on here never allow Asha to touch any audio settings again.
Yeah.
So it looks
Sure.
like when we did the update. So for those of you that are joining us, thank you so much for your patience in letting us kind of test this out. We normally would not do a Wednesday episode. We are here as what we're calling a pop up episode because we needed to test our
Hmm.
audio. But we use two platforms to stream, and they continually do the updates to these platforms, and it
Right.
says, "Hey, leave your settings in place and all that stuff when you do the updates." But unfortunately, it looks like one of our settings got skewed, which was making Asha silent and mute. So now she is
I think
not.
it was. I think it was a subconscious thing, Steve. I get it. I get the hint.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, so Dennis says they got it. It's working, and it was not a hint.
Good.
I promise you. Christine says it's working. Fantastic. Mark
Great.
says
Thank
she
you.
sounds good now. Apparently, you didn't sound good earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much for your friendship. There it goes. Yeah. Robert says, "There you go." Yes. See, I think the problem was,
Perfect.
Robert. I had somebody in here in the studio recently that wants to go to A&M, and I think he was sabotaging me because I said stuff about your school and your alma mater, and
Mhm.
now he's trying to make me look foolish. But that was probably it.
See, Steve, you got to watch what you say.
Yeah. And Christina said he totally set you up. I love it. I
Yeah.
did I
See,
set
I'm
Asha
telling you,
up or the person that was in my studio set me up? I think.
it's just a vicious circle.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, since it's a pop-up episode and we have people
Yeah.
here, I mean, you had a topic. What was it? Let's go. Boom.
What was it, Steve? Let's see. I think you know what. I think you messaged me about something and nothing. You remember that? Hang on a second.
Was it
Hang on a
today?
second. Hang on just. I know I saw a message from you saying something to the fact of, "Shall we talk about this?" Remember? That was today. I'm
Yeah, but
pretty
what
sure.
was it?
Steve. Let's just see. You just keep talking and I'll find it.
Well, yeah. So I do vaguely remember that email, but that was about 400 emails ago. So
Probably, but when nothing is sure, everything is possible.
wow, when
My
nothing
quote
is,
today.
yeah, that
Yeah,
seems like a really heady conversation now after we've held everybody
I
hostage on
know.
our
So
audio.
sorry, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for letting us, do this today. But there's a lot of uncertainty. I've been having a lot of conversations with people this week that are kind of freaking out about like just last minute. Like I had actually a really really good friend of mine just suddenly lose her job
Oh,
um,
that's sad.
because of reorganization, but also
Eee.
just like out of the blue, like so what do you do with that uncertainty when it just opens up like every possibility out there, for you?
But
But
in the
sometimes
moment,
it's
you don't
kind of,
actually feel like that.
I'm sorry.
But in the moment, you don't feel like that. It
Oh
doesn't feel
gosh,
like that.
no, no,
And by
you
the way,
don't feel like that.
you can't see the screen, but I had to put it up here for Mark. Mark said this is like y'all's Seinfeld episode, a podcast about nothing. And see, we were having so much fun, and then Asha has to bring in a topic, and it like got all serious and now
See,
sad because somebody lost their job.
no, but Steve, no, let me tell you, I got something. You know what? She lost her job,
Yeah.
and but now she has a new job
Oh, well, that's good.
already.
See,
See, it's not sad. It's not sad. You didn't let me finish.
I do that often. Let's put it
Yes.
a lot. Yeah. So, was she looking for a job when she lost the job and just happened to
No.
find that job? But
No, you know what? It came through one of her Ripple connections. Honestly,
ah,
it was really through a customer from the company that she got fired from. Said, "You know what? I've got somebody, like, I'm so sad that you're gone from this company, but
yeah,
I've got somebody that is hiring that you would be perfect for."
yep.
Literally, it was like literally within 48 hours, she already has a new job.
So,
So,
so the topic you introduced, say it again so that we all reset it, and then we'll come back to this really quickly.
what was the topic?
You already closed your email, didn't you?
Remember what I'm saying. When nothing is sure, everything is possible.
When nothing is sure, everything is possible. Yeah.
Yes.
Like we pushed live to go today, and nothing was sure that that was going to go well,
Yeah.
and people would be stuck with just me, which is nothing's possible there. But
There's so many possibilities.
in all honesty, when nothing is sure, when you don't know what direction you're headed, where you're going, what you're doing. Sometimes that it doesn't cloud your perspective of what's possible, what's coming, what
Exactly.
could come, right? So, like you said, you
Yeah.
might in the moment your friend loses her position and a layoff, which is a bummer, not a good thing for anybody. But at the end of the day, in the moment, I'm sure it was really difficult. But then it opened up to like,
Yeah.
oh, what am I? What's the possibilities here? Where am I going to go? What am I going to
Exactly.
do? And
Exactly.
so that's a positive, right? So
Yeah.
where do you sense this attitude, this approach, or how would you suggest people use that in their life going forward?
You know what? I think it's about you've heard me say this before, Steve. Actually, too bad I'm not wearing my shirt, get comfortable with with discomfort, kind of thing. And I know that that's really like people look at that and they're like, "What? Why would you even think about that?" But what I mean by that, it's not that I want you to be uncomfortable all the time, but we have to learn to kind of become resilient and flexible
Yeah.
at the same time. And I know
Yep.
it's not easy because we are creatures of habit. We do not like change. We don't want things, nobody likes the rug being pulled out from under them at
Right.
all. But I think that if we and I think the way that you do that is you challenge yourself. You learn new things, you do new things, take adventures that you would never do. I mean, I think that's one of the ways that we can kind of practice that resiliency.
Well, and it's important
Yeah.
to remember that too in the moment. I think
Yeah.
everything that is out of our control that often tends to be sometimes temporary, right? Like a job change
Yes.
that's forced upon us. But
Yes.
you have to get beyond that in order to be able to have a perspective of okay, if not that, then what's next, right? And ask that question. So
Exactly.
where am I going to go? What am I going to do with this? how can I turn this negative into a positive, which is really what you're saying, right? And being open
Right.
to a world of possibilities. Like,
Yeah.
our mic not working, right?
Right.
We now saw something happening that, we knew last week was a problem. We came back, got it fixed. We thought temporarily, but then it ended up being a little more than a day fix that it just went away. But
Right.
you just keep digging, you keep finding ways to kind of make it
Exactly.
make sense, and try and just keep testing things until something actually sticks and works, right? So now it's actually
Yeah, and
writing these settings
I think
down,
that
so I
that's
keep them.
no, but you know what, Steve? I also think we have to not worry looking foolish too. That's something I've learned this week. I think I learn it every day, probably.
You wanted me on camera, so what are you saying? This is what you signed up for. I'm just telling you. This
No.
is the face of foolishness. Sunny
Are
said we
you saying
worked
you're
through
the
it
king
though,
of
so
fools?
she gave us a hands raised. So Asha would normally comment on these comments and see them, but unfortunately she's coming in from our
Can't see
other
them.
platform and can't see
Yeah.
them. So I'm just having to point them out to her. So I don't want
Yeah.
anybody being like, "Hey, do you know you always read everything to Asha?" Yeah,
You
there's a
know,
reason
I
for
just
that. I'm glad you pointed it out. Like, well, you should say that on air sometime when you guys are doing it, because it seems like you're always explaining it to her. I'm like,
I'm
okay,
challenged,
yeah.
basically, people.
So anyway, where were we before I went off on that tirade? Clearly had way too much
No,
coffee today.
no, you were talking about being the king of fools or king of foolishness. Sorry, king
I
of
didn't say
fools.
I was the king. Wow, this episode just took a weird turn. Wow.
No, no, but you know what I mean, Steve. It's like you can't really worry about what other people are gonna think of you or what, and it's okay if you make it. We're all human beings. We make mistakes. Things don't go right. Things don't go the way that we want them to or perfect, and it's okay. And I think that the more that you um, experience that
Yeah.
in a lot of different ways, I think the more resiliency that you are able to build,
Yeah.
resistance for that.
I mean, I always find like in bad situations when they go, what what aspect of humor can you pull out of it? Right.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and if you can find humor, then you can find positive. And if you can find positive, then there's a lesson to be learned by whatever you encountered. Right. And
yeah,
sometimes when you're not trying to control everything, which I think is kind of the topic that we started with, right? If you just kind of give
right,
up the fact that you can't control everything, situations are going to occur,
yeah,
some things are just outside of our ability to influence them in a positive direction or what we think is a positive direction in the moment. Sometimes those things unfold, and where you end up on the other side of it is so much better than what you
yes,
you ended up with, right? Or you would have ended
yeah,
up had you
true.
stayed the course. I mean.
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true.
Well, so this is a little pop-up episode. We're keeping this one intentionally short, but we have a number of viewers on here, which we super appreciate. Somebody asked, which I
Thank you.
can't post this for some reason, why we're not on LinkedIn. Well, as refer to Asha's comment earlier, I'm the king of fools. I did not realize because we were doing a pop-up episode. We actually don't know if we're in timeout with LinkedIn right now, or they have to check. I said the word damn a couple of times on our last
Yeah,
episode, and apparently they get a little excited about that. Although I got no
yeah.
formal cease and desist letter. I have no idea. But now they wanted to know ahead of time that we're going to be broadcasting an hour in advance. So I guess they could have their sensors at the ready with the button. I don't know. Anyway, so that's why we're
I
not
don't
on
know.
LinkedIn today. We're only on Facebook,
Yeah,
but we assume our audio problems that were following us on LinkedIn are now fixed because you can hear us on Facebook. So that's good.
right.
But any questions for Dr. Asha or the King of Fools? We're renaming the show now. Totally. We're rebranding
Oh
all day
no.
long.
Oh,
If you
oh,
have any comments, put them down there. We'll see them. We'll pop them up on the screen. I will read them to Asha. I won't explain them to Asha.
oh.
But if
Oh.
you have something, Mark, I know you got a question. You got to be burning. There's got to be a burning question on this topic. Just silence, sleeping.
It's just silence, kind of
Robert,
like I was
Robert,
in
come on,
silence.
Robert. You out there? Sonny, you got to have something. Well, I think it's an interesting topic because I really hadn't thought about those things. I mean, you do, I guess, to a certain degree in the moment. Like when your world gets turned upside down, like you said, with the job
Yeah.
change, a relationship change, something that you didn't anticipate or expect that forces you to be out of your comfort zone. Nobody likes that,
Yes.
right? But I
No.
like your
No.
shirt, right, that you have that you're not wearing, but I want you to be comfortable. I want to make you comfortable. So what's the phrase?
It says seek discomfort.
Seek discomfort. Oh, it's not. I want to help you find comfort in your discomfort.
No. It's
Oh,
seek discomfort. Which every time I wear that shirt, which I'll wear it next time, every time I wear that shirt, people are like, look, they're stopping, they're reading, and they're looking again. They're saying, why would you want to do that? I'm like, well, I understand that. And it's because that shirt to me reminds me of, pushing myself to grow,
mm-hmm.
not to get too comfortable, in anything, in my way of thinking and my way of doing things. This helps me a lot, I would say, Steve, professionally in my businesses, because we're always, as entrepreneurs, as managers, whoever whatever position you're in, we're always having to be innovative, flexible, and be okay with the unknown. Be okay with the uncertainty. We have to be, ready for it.
Yeah, I think great entrepreneurs. I mean, that's an excellent point. I think great entrepreneurs are never allow themselves to be comfortable. They're constantly pushing the
Yeah.
envelope. They're pushing themselves to try new things, learn new things, try to
Hmm.
come up with new ideas, solutions, products, etc. And that comes from a sense of never really being satisfied. And so that discomfort piece
Exactly.
is, I think, really
Yeah.
good. Especially it's hard, like we said earlier, if something is thrust upon you you didn't see coming, but then leaning
Yeah.
into the positive aspects of it about what's possible now because I don't have this thing
Exactly.
hanging over me, I think is
Yeah.
super beneficial for sure. Mark just asked a question. So, what are some concrete, actionable steps you take to see concrete, actionable steps? I knew he
Oh,
was going to
oh,
hit us with something hard. You can take to transform anxiety into excitement for new opportunities. Mark, we were talking about you before we actually pushed live.
I
Actually, we
know.
we could have been talking about you, and it would have just been Asha going,
I'm pretty sure he can read lips,
"Yeah."
Steve.
So, what are some concrete, actionable steps that you can take to transform that anxiety?
Hmm.
That was to you, Asha.
Yeah. No, no. I'm pretty sure it's for both of us, Steve. Well, let me think. Let me think for a second. Let me pause for a second because I think, the first thing is we have to be able to recognize that we're in an anxious state, because
Yeah.
I have seen leaders, I've done this myself as well, but I have seen other leaders as well, and clients and that kind of thing, where they will, instead of like just pausing for a moment and being like,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on here, they start taking action, and before you know it, they do not know which way they're going. They're just like, like just firing basically without even looking. It's like, slow down for a second. I think that that's a really important first step. Slow down
Yeah.
and recognize what exactly is going on. What would be another step, your next step, Steve, do you think?
Well, I mean, I was going to say something similar, but to actually recognize what is causing you the most anxiety at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of times anxiety is driven by fear, and that fear is what holds a
Yes.
lot of people in their current state, their current place. And
Yeah.
when you fear, you face your fear head on and you shine a light
Yeah.
on it, it doesn't often look as scary or as,
Yeah.
monumental as you thought. And so I would say, you got, like Asha said, take a moment, don't rush into unknown circumstances or make drastic decisions, but at the same time, give yourself the time and space to be able to address why do I feel this internally? And sometimes, and
Right.
we've talked about it before, that intuition in that gut really does play a big part in
It does.
helping you get going in the right direction. And sometimes, if you're like, I know what I think I should do, and I should dive in with both feet
Mm-hmm.
and just do it, that momentary stop and say, well, but what's giving me anxiety about it? What do I not know? What questions should I be asking that I don't currently, have the answers to? Who else should I be seeking counsel from before I make that
Right.
decision or dive in? That little bit of anxiety could actually be that suggestion of the emergency brake, or just a cautionary pause to say, hold on, just before you jump in, take that moment to evaluate it. Cause I think that can be really critical as well. So, I think
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
slow, pay attention, get inside the anxiety to figure out why it's causing it. And then as you start to get a little bit more, concrete, firm steps, going in the right direction, or
Right.
a little bit more, I should say, a little bit more firm in where you're at and why things have happened the way they
Mm-hmm.
have, then I think you can move forward with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think sometimes we can either push directly, like we get into action immediately, and we let that emotion of that anxiety and that fear drive us. And I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing, but it's probably not the best way to begin any decision making process. I
Yeah.
think it's always this is no matter what. And I think once you can get yourself into a calm state, whether that is reaching out to your mentor or your coach, or a really good friend, a trusted friend or trusted colleague, whatever it is, and you're able to get yourself to a calm place, then you can start to think clearly.
Yeah.
Then you can start taking those action steps and be like, okay, now I know what to do. And you know what, one of the things that I have found too is that don't worry if that feeling of fear is still not gone completely. It's okay, but get yourself out of your head as much as you can to not start writing a story that's not exactly happened or not even true yet.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like the doom and gloom kind of way of thinking of, oh my God, I'm going to do this. This is all going to fall apart. This is all going to fade. The sky is falling, that kind of thing.
Asha takes up
Don't do that.
residence in my head so often, it's not even funny.
That's scary. It's a scary place, people.
You're like, quit talking to yourself. It's so crazy. Anyway, but what the other thing you just touched on though, sharing that that fear, that anxiety, or that sudden change, right, with a friend, a family
Mhm.
member, a coach, someone that's guiding and directing you. Just sometimes the retelling of what's happening or what's holding you back, that I find can be incredibly empowering, because the
Yep.
way that you tell that story in your head, that's only to an audience of one. When you actually say it to
Yeah.
someone like Asha, and she just kind of looks at you cockeyed like she does me all the time, and says, "Well, what? Yeah, so move forward.
Like,
What's
what's the deal? What's the
what's the
big deal
problem?"
here? What?
That piece
Yeah.
alone is also powerful, because when
Yes.
when you put that to words for someone else to hear, not only is it their feedback and their response, but at the end of the day, just saying it sometimes takes away all the power of that fear was holding you in place for. So I think that those are some good concrete examples to take you forward on that. Christina says you got to do one thing a year that you are afraid to do. Yes,
Yes.
I like that. Yeah. Christina, what was your one thing that you've done this year aside from cooking school, which brought you back from Spain over to New
Oh,
York?
wow.
What else have you done? Because you went into an environment where you knew no one in, New York, or at least, in your cooking school, and you were you were upending your life for a period of time to do this. But what else have you done that this year that has scared you? What about you, Asha? What have you done this year that you were afraid to do?
I was just thinking about that as she mentioned that. I'm like, what have I done that has scared me? I do a lot that scares me, I think, a lot of times. I no, I mean, I can't. You know what? I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna have to. I really want to think about that, because I think that that's a great advice. Is to do one thing that scares you, and I don't really know, Steve. To be honest with you, I don't know at this point. Do you have anything? Do you know anything?
Yeah, I actually started picking up the phone and calling a lot of people that I actually hadn't utilized in a long time for advice and guidance.
Uh huh.
They were there for me early in my career, and I really haven't gone back to that well. And it was a little bit scary, because I was supposed to be, or
Oh.
I thought I was further ahead than I am in some capacities. And so I thought,
Hmm.
I'm going to look like a fool coming back this far, right? And saying, hey,
Right.
I know I've been through however many businesses I've started and what I've done, but I still need you, and I still need your feedback.
Hmm.
And for some reason, that was oddly scary to me, because I didn't
Oh.
want people to feel like, okay, I didn't learn the last time I went through this process,
Hmm.
or that maybe those lessons that they shared previously didn't stick, and that here I am making the same stupid decisions again or something. So picking up the phone and kind of admitting, 10, 15 years later, I still don't have it all figured out, and I still respect and admire you, and I'm still willing to
Right.
learn anything that you're prepared to teach, was
Right.
oddly scary for me. And so, but I've done
Okay.
that with a few people. I've admitted things to you directly that I probably wouldn't have done previously. And so I think to a certain degree, if you had to boil that down, is being a lot more open and honest,
Yeah.
and asking for the help, quite honestly. Um,
Right.
Christina said that her scary thing is she's trying to buy property in New York City. It's very trying
Wow.
and scary. Yes, because it's New York
Yeah.
City.
That's awesome though, Christina.
Yeah, it
That's really
is.
awesome.
It is. I
That is.
mean, that if you can afford something in New York City, then you're doing better than me. It's an expensive place to live or own anything, but interesting nonetheless. It would be, and now I'll have a place to go visit you. So that would be awesome,
Well, what,
Christina.
Steve? I have a follow-up question to Christina.
Sure.
What is she afraid of?
Oh
What's the
yeah,
scary part about it? What's
yeah,
scary about
Christina.
it?
What's the scariest part of it? I bet I know, but I'm not going to give her the answer. Well, I can't tell if she's typing, so it may
Okay.
take her a second. But yeah, it's not as live as that. So she's gonna have to put that in the comment, and it'll have to filter
Okay.
through to me. But Christine, if you're still with us, Dr. Asha is asking you what is scary about trying to buy property in New York City, other than it's New York City. It's a dangerous place, man. I'm telling you, there's some characters in New York City. I've been there a couple times.
That's what makes it interesting, Steve. All the
Yeah,
characters.
yeah, builds character. Yep. So she might have dropped off. It looks like we lost a couple of
Okay.
listeners because I was talking. So
No.
what was the scary thing that you were afraid to do this year, or what was the one thing that you were afraid to do this
Yeah.
year, Asha? Did you come up with one, or
I don't have one, Steve. You know what? That means I have to do it. I have to do something. I have to do
there you
something
go?
that's scary.
Yeah. Oh,
Um.
she responded to you. Here we go. Well, first,
Yeah.
there is a lot of money involved. Yep,
Okay.
that's true. But you're smart. You're gonna make money, buku money. Yeah, no doubt in my mind that that's not going to be a problem. And you imply there was first, but there might be a second. So
There
we'll
might be
see
a
if you
second
add another
thing.
comment. I mean, right there, that would have been the deal breaker for me. It's like, first, I'm cheap,
Yeah.
and I don't have
But
a
you know
lot
what,
of money.
Steve? The reason let me say something. The reason why I'm asking this to you, Christina, and I mean, thank you for sharing, being willing to be vulnerable and share it with us of what you're dealing with. Is that I feel like it's really important that we ask these questions to kind of dig deeper down into, because once we really start, like you were saying before, Steve, once you start to really dig deeper, sometimes the things that we think are scary, there's solutions to those problems.
That's true. That's true.
You
Well,
know?
Christina put in two follow-on comments that just came in, and she said, "And a lot
Oh,
of stuff to have to pay, and if things don't go right, you're just out a ton of cash, and then you have to make sure that the building is sound. And what if you buy something that falls all the way apart? Well, Christina, that's just the risk that you take."
that's the risk with anywhere with anything. I mean,
I will say, Christina,
right?
you should connect with Mark, because Mark knows this great company that can help, document your building assessment when you decide to do it. I don't want to take any time promoting that company, even though it's mine. When you get into construction, we can definitely help you there. But totally, I totally get that. I mean, but that's a
Yeah,
risk. That
no,
would
that's
be the
fair.
same. Why did you buy your house in
Yeah,
Spain? It could have been the same thing. You could have got the money pit.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, that's part of the fun too. It's the discovery. Like, you
yeah,
open up a wall and there's like exposed brick now, and
exactly.
it looks amazing, and it's really cool. There's a lot of really fun, unique aspects of architecture around New York City that just
Hmm.
waiting to be discovered. So I'd say go for
Exactly.
it. If it costs you more money than you expect, you'll just get that much more money out when you sell. So
Yeah.
have that in mind. So,
Yes.
she says it's not like Texas where you have a standalone property. Are your neighbors safe to share space with? No, they live in New York City. I can answer that question right now.
But I mean, oh God,
And I wonder why I never get
Steve.
any speaking gigs in New York. I just don't understand it. I will give you my New York City story, Asha. I go to New York City when I'm
Okay.
writing the first edition of my book. I'm out there for a
Right.
business trip. I was doing some consulting for a company. And you know me, I talk to everybody at Starbucks, right? Go to
Right.
Starbucks, get my coffee. I go to the little condiment bar there. I'm like, putting in my little stuff. And this lady walks up and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she looks at me. I swear to God, looks at me like, what the hell do you mean by that? I'm like, whoa, Jesus, lady, wait, just
Yeah.
saying hello. She's like, yeah, you'll get
Right.
killed in this city doing that, buddy. It was like,
Wow.
oh yeah,
Wow.
I can answer. So Christina just said, am I the crazy neighbor? Yes.
Probably.
So anyway, this episode is off the rails, but it's been fun, and I'm glad we were able
Yes.
to get our audio problem solved. And now Asha has a
Yes.
voice, even though she had a
And
voice
now
last time. I heard it perfectly. I don't know what the deal was, but I think it actually had everything to do with our little software update. But
yeah.
we are now
Okay.
golden. Yeah.
Good.
So as a pop-up episode, this really didn't count as an episode, so we won't be publicizing this to our podcast. Jesus.
I'm like, what?
My blood sugar has just dropped. Like,
Okay, go have some lunch. Steve.
and Christina says she can't wait to hear what Asha does this year. Yep.
Yeah.
Probably involves a spacesuit. I'm just going to say
thank
that.
you for that. Yeah.
Hey, you saw Captain Kirk's going to space. I'm sure if you tweet him, he'll take you.
I don't want to go with that organization.
Bezos and his uniquely shaped spaceship.
Oh gosh.
But I mean,
Yeah.
it does look like a rocket. So
And it gets you there. So
it does.
okay.
I mean, for 30 seconds, let's just say Sir Richard Branson goes longer.
Oh God. Steve.
Oh wait, no, I didn't mean it that way. I think you're blushing, Asha. Oh, anyway,
You
that's a good
cracked
place
me
to
up.
end this.
You're funny.
Friday, just as by way
Yeah.
of promotion, Friday is an incredibly great episode that we're going to do because I am traveling for work. I think Asha, you had a commitment as well.
I did.
So Friday we are not live for live streaming, but we have better yet. We have an episode that we recorded with our good friend Mark Schwartz. This is an episode where he actually flips the script on us, and we are ultimately going to be interviewed by him about the sort of the impacts that COVID has had on us, right? And kind of,
Right.
the challenges that we've experienced as business owners, entrepreneurs, how it influenced our books in the writing process. It was a really fun episode to record. We ask you to tune in. It's going to premiere at the same time as our live stream does. If you like it, please, make sure to leave us some comments on Facebook. If you catch it on YouTube, be sure to like it and subscribe and share it with anybody that you think might benefit from it. We would greatly appreciate it. It'll be 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central European Time. And yeah, we're pretty excited. And now Mark says, now I see why LinkedIn has to monitor you, Steve.
Yeah, me too. Yes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. So hopefully I'll be back with conversations with Asha and Steve, unless I've been replaced by conversations with Asha and Mark at some juncture.
Uh-oh.
Which, hey, that's fine. I don't care. But we appreciate you guys tuning into this pop-up episode. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody that contributed to the audio test that we had going on for what seemed like in 10 minutes or so. So
I know.
we're glad we got it resolved, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we will be back with a live stream, I think the week after next. Might be 2 weeks. I'm not sure.
On the 8th.
Yep.
I think the 8th or the 15th. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. So we'll be back. You guys take care until then, and thanks for tuning in for our pop-up episode.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.